We'll call to order our March 6th meeting of the Housing Authority of Travis County at 9:47. Can I get a roll call, please?
Chair Laura Gibson.
Present.
Vice Chair Judy Flores.
Present.
Commissioner Cheryl Brown.
Present.
Commissioner Wilmer Roberts.
Present.
And Commissioner Jimmy Page.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Item 2, we have our consent agenda, which includes the approval of minutes from the February 6th meeting and our CEO Executive Director's report. I will entertain a motion to approve our consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, abstentions? Passes. Moving on to public forum, do we have anyone who has signed up to speak to us today?
Oh. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to discussion items, our Executive Director's report.
Okay, and one of the things we will talk about in the future is what items you want to keep on consent and what items you want to discuss, since some of these projects obviously are materially complete, so that'll be feedback you all provide for us for the future meetings. But as it stands right now, we'll have Carlos provide us the overview of affordable housing as he has been the last few months. So we can pull up the PowerPoint now.
Good morning, board members. So here we have an overview of all properties of how they're progressing. Eastern Oaks seems to be doing really well. We have 0 delinquency, 100% occupancy for it as well. We have 0 evictions and 0 outstanding court orders for it as well. That's the most outstanding property that we have. We are working on all the other properties. Summit Oaks, as well as Alexander Oaks and Carson Creek. I've provided some insight there. I also have additional packets here for you guys to give you better detail on these delinquent accounts. Management is working to make sure that we get these down to a 0 account balance. We're assisting all of our tenants as much as possible, providing them packets with resources to make sure that assistant agencies can help them cure their balances. We've come a long way from where we started. We're almost there, hopefully within the second quarter of 2025. Everything will look similar to what Eastern Oaks looks like. Any questions?
Yeah, I'm looking at some small amounts of, $4, and I would think that we maybe set anything less than X number of dollars. Can we write that off? I'm just asking. If you can't get it all cleared up.
Certainly, as a board, I mean, we could create a fund, maybe through the foundation, to write off. But as a practice, you want to show those as delinquent. I mean, unless you, as a policy directive, you say we will do such. But obviously, that would be up to you all, and we would just have to bring it back to you all for consideration if you are inclined to do that. I'm not going to recommend it though at this point, because I think people with the resources they have, folks can, as Carlos alluded to, that'll be. We believe there's resources out there to help folks cure that. In cases where they're just not, then maybe so. But
yeah, I understand, and that's what I'm talking about. If we can't get those down, after exploring all of the resources that are out there, so we set a $200 or $300 minimum amount to go ahead and write that off. So that's what.
the property management want to maybe share about what the experience has been in that regard. I can't really speak to sort of some of the challenges, but
everybody's willing to pay. They're just fell short the fall last month, so they're curing their balance this month. So
Okay.
there's no,
No issues?
no issues at all.
Right.
It's just, their money order was short, so they just carried it. I let them forward it to the next month, and they're taken care of with the new current rent.
And my thought on that is, I would caution us to get into a situation where people grow accustomed to not paying a certain balance. I think that, one of the most important things when we look at trying to develop people and trying to help them move into, a more work balance situation, that they are trained to manage their finances. And I think, my opinion is, I think we should continue to, make those expectations known that, some things in life you have to prioritize. And so I would just caution us from going in that direction.
Just threw it out.
Like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
And we got a lot of upcoming workshops, budgeting, going over finances scheduled for this year too as well for all properties. And so the residents will be able to have that training if needed.
now, one of the things that we did talk about last year was making sure that everyone understood what programs they're in, and we were going to put up signs in each of the properties so they will know what the expectation is, if they're, what program they're under, what the expectations are for those programs. Did we do that?
Right now, the signs are being made. They're running through our legal department to make sure the wording is proper, and we're ordering them throughout the whole property, so for each site. So that's where we're at on that part.
Okay. Do you have a projected date of when they will be approved and printed?
I'd say by the end of this month, I can follow up with my corporate team and then make sure it gets done.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question on page 4. There is one tenant that has a large balance, $12,500, and it looks like they have not paid rent in 15 months. Is the tenant just refusing to pay rent, or is there another circumstance that's causing?
Yeah, we're working with this tenant as much as we can. We've done that across the board throughout the entire portfolio. This tenant has failed to show up to appointments. We've exhausted all of our resources as much as possible, try to get him in so that we can make sure that he pays his balance, which is the reason why he is where he's at right now. But he's just not complying, unfortunately.
I was going to ask a question about this too, which begs the question, what's the usual timeline for somebody not paying their rent and then you moving towards eviction?
So typically, and I know this is something that we've been working to get to where we're at now. So this shouldn't be going forward. I know that this was something that has accrued in the past, and which is why we're working with these tenants as much as possible. For those that have been, in a sense, grandfathered in since Carlton took over, those were the previous tenants that we're trying to work as best as possible, as hard as possible, to make sure that they're all caught up so that we're not at this current situation. But so typically our delinquency protocols are rent is due on the 1st, right? We give you guys a grace period to pay it. After that grace period, we're going across and throwing a blanket statement so that we're providing 10-day notices to cure to all tenants rather than just the Oaks, so that it'll give them time to come in and dispute if need be, and for us to provide them resources to help them cure those notices. If they don't come in within those 10 days, if we have no contact, we then provide a 30-day notice to vacate. After those 30 days have expired, we then go to the eviction process if need be. Again, this is only at last resources if the tenants are not willing to cooperate with us.
How long's the grace period?
For the
first grace period
is 6 days.
6 days. Okay.
And this particular tenant is in Carlson Creek, so they are not in the property now.
That is correct. Although they're not in the property, those questions were brought up prior to them actually relocating. Our relocation team has made them aware that they will continue paying their monthly rent as usual, and most of our as you can see, all of our tenants, with the exception of one, is compliant. So they are aware. On our monthly meetings, I take Christina here with me She gives them their account balances, which includes the packages of resources so that they can contact them. For this particular tenant, we've met with him at our meetings, but he's failed to come in to the appointments for us to assist them to go through this entire process. So it's a little difficult for us to deal with them. But we do remind them that they do still have to pay rent.
And we know where he is now. I know we moved into temporary housing.
Yes.
Where is he?
He's in Colorado Creek.
Colorado Creek. Okay, so we know that we can go to Colorado Creek and have, because I'm just wondering, given the situation, and he's been provided the 10-day notice, when is he scheduled to move back into Carlson Creek? So,
and that's something that I was going to speak to once we got to it, but I can get to it right now. I know we're a little behind on completing the project. Some of it is really due to the City of Austin coming out and completing those inspections, but some of it also it's related to the GC completing the work itself. We've already reached out to him. We've discussed the extension, and we're waiting for his formal letter so that we can get the proper extension date from him, right? Although he did verbally let me know that by the 28th of this month, he should be completing the project altogether. So towards that end of the month, it's that weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, is when we're scheduling the moves for them to come back.
What happens then if he doesn't comply?
So right now it is through our legal system. We're going through our lawyers, and all notices and everything the contract has been read. We've sent them the official notice of non-completion as well. All these additional expenses that we're accruing, we've let him know about that as well via email, so he is aware that we're having these expenses, and potentially he would be responsible for those additional expenses.
So in terms of payment, most times contracts are put in place where there are liquidated damages, right? Do we have phrases in our contract that states if his work isn't completed by the agreed to completion date that he's incurring not just the additional expenses but liquidated damages that we've...
Not for Carson Creek now.
Okay. Well, the other concern is, as we, that's the reason why I threw that out, but we shouldn't be going 15 months in the future.
No.
At all.
No, and he clearly understands. I've already met with him.
I'm just talking about generally.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So.
Yeah, I think so. Let me, if I could. As you all know, we had been going through some flux and transformation with the property management company, even when we first got them on board, and they had a lot of instability. This is pre-Christina, and so they were well aware of the fact that. So essentially, the desire was to try to make things whole and give folks some reprieve because the work had not been done appropriately, prior to them coming on board. So they were aware of the situation relative to the gentleman that they're speaking of, but as we all know, or at least some of us who've experienced relocation, the worst thing you can do is put someone in a situation where they're going to be potentially evicted, as you're talking about relocation. So we knew that the timing could not occur in terms of processing an eviction with this impending temporary relocation. So staff was well aware of that and knew that needed to happen post-return. And so that's why it's continued to amass an accrual, and the gentleman is still elected not to pay. So unfortunately, everyone's taken advantage of the situation, relative to us temporarily relocating them and them still allowing themselves to not pay anything. Or I should say it that way, yeah. So now, obviously, we have the ability to move forward as we would have if we did not relocate him temporarily.
So what I'm hearing is two situations, right? I'm hearing a situation with the tenant, and I'm hearing a situation with the contractor, right? And so with the tenant, we've already taken steps and notified the tenant that they have to make some arrangements to clear up their balance, correct?
Correct.
All right. And then with the general contractor that was doing the work at Carlson Creek, who has not been responding, how many units have they not completed, right? And how long have you been waiting on them to complete those units? And then lastly, do you have someone else lined up to finish it? Because I'm assuming those units that have not been completed, we're still having people housed in a temporary location with no estimation on when they can move back into their homes, right? So we can't just continue to wait on that general contractor. We need to move on getting someone else to finish this job.
Yes, ma'am. To answer your questions, so 6 buildings, let's say, are in a sense fully completed. And what I mean by that is everything's already installed inside of the unit. We're really just waiting for inspections to pass so that we can, and then some details that he needs to come back and complete. Let's say touch-up paint, maybe doors are misaligned, things of that nature, right? Small details here and there. For those other 2 buildings, though, there is, for one of them in particular, there's more major work that needs to be done. Let's say floor needs to be installed, doors needs to be installed still, but that's a building that had foundation issues. So there was some setbacks that didn't allow the contractor to go in there and complete it. We've had conversations with the contractor, although we didn't formally, put it all into place, which is why I had this meeting with him so that we can have these extensions if needed, right? We are okay with him completing the project, though. I think he has a good sense with the letter that he's received, and he understands that we need to get this done this month. But we can definitely search for a contractor in the back pocket. We have worked with someone in the past. If we need to, then we can definitely reach out to this contractor to complete this work.
So my suggestion would be to line up your backup contractor. And you didn't say how long you've been waiting on this general to respond.
As of right now, it's been 5 days.
Okay, that's short.
Yes.
That's a short period of time. But I would still line up the next person, because if he doesn't respond and he doesn't act upon what you requested, then you lost the month of March, right? And those people are out of their houses for another month,
right,
which we thought that everything would have been completed at the end of 2024.
Yes, ma'am. This is something that he came by and told us, of course. Again, there's been some setbacks, unfortunately. But yes, I will make sure and have this contractor lined up so that if in case he doesn't answer, we'll make sure that he gets on it so that we can make sure and complete this project.
Thank you.
City of Austin has been notorious about getting permitting and inspections completed. It's a nightmare.
The 6 houses, I think, with the permit and inspections, it's hard to change over to a new contractor. And it sounds like with the 6 units, it's just touch-up things. It sounds like it's just a punch list that needed to be worked out, and it's a matter of completing that and getting the inspections done. So the 6, I'm not as concerned about, right?
Right.
But it's the other 2 that where you have more significant work that needs to be done.
Yes, ma'am.
That I would not sit and wait
Okay.
on that.
So Carlos, the 6 units have all...
6
the city-
buildings.
6 buildings,
12
I'm sorry.
12 units.
They have all the permits done by the city at this point. I
So
know you
the-
have electrical.
Electrical, yes.
Yes.
Gas and plumbing and HVAC was pending. It was due early this week. I'm scheduled to go out there after the board meetings to get an update from the GC, walk the units as well for a progress field report, and then report back.
And you expect the work that's outstanding, if he's responsive, to be completed by the end of this month?
Correct.
Thank you for the details on
Yes,
this
of
accounts.
course.
It's very helpful to see it all laid out.
Of course.
Turning it back over to you, Patrick. Do you have anything else on your report?
I think Carlos has a,
Mayortown.
where was I?
Lastly, we do have Maynardtown. Yeah, Maynardtown too. So similar issue, right? But we have already also sent him a notice of non-completion. Yes, yeah. We are waiting for him to confirm a date for him to come in person so that we can discuss the extension. But there are liquidated damages in this contract, which we will be discussing as soon as he confirms the date and time for us to meet.
So just to be clear, they have a temporary C of O, and the stuff that they're talking about needs to be done, but it's not impeding the ability to lease, the units being leased.
Yeah.
So just to be clear on that, that's different from the scenario with Carson Creek
That
where
is correct.
folks don't have an inspection, we can't move in until we get those, so. The
So what are
occupancy.
some of the items that we're talking about at Maynardtown?
Very, in a sense, similar, right? But some of them were ADA related, which as of yesterday, I did notice that they were already completed. Let's say, for instance, in the bathrooms, in the general bathrooms, there was knee and toe clearance under the sinks that were required. Same thing with the ADA units themselves. And in some instances, in one of the units, there was not enough support in with the bathroom sink, so it's coming down. There's touch-ups around the building itself that need to be done as well that weren't taken care of. A couple of, there was railing as well by the ramp, by the pergola that was still missing. The trash enclosure wasn't completed. There was just, again, some punch items there. Yeah.
It sounds like the most critical items are the ADA.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Those are the most critical,
is
especially
correct.
given that we're dealing with seniors.
That is
That's
correct.
there.
Yes, ma'am.
And is this contractor also just not responding to you, or is there still communication? It's just falling behind?
There's better communication now. I've contacted the president, Ben, so I've been in contact with him rather than the superintendent at the property.
Is it your expectation that the items on your non-completion letter are going to be addressed in the near future?
Yes, ma'am. I hope that he addresses everything within this next 2 weeks. Again, I'm waiting for him to confirm the date so that we can schedule an in-person meeting so that we can further discuss and get actual clarification from him.
And when does liquidated damages go into effect if he doesn't respond?
This will be something that we'll be discussing. I don't have an answer for you right now.
Okay, so I would assume that you would set, especially with ADA.
Yeah.
And we have seniors that's moved in already.
Yes,
That
ma'am.
date needs to be set.
Yes.
And, I think the middle of the month, you guys look at it, but I don't think that it should go beyond 2 weeks, because if someone gets injured, then that responsibility is going to rest with HATC, and we don't want that.
Yeah, but as of yesterday, when I walked it, those ADA deficiencies have already been cleared up, so we're good on that end, at a minimum, yeah.
And Spectrum, as you have in there, is going to tear up the sheetrock. Who's going to do the sheetrock repairs?
Spectrum.
Next on the agenda is the Boston.
Any additional questions by any chance?
Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you.
Number 4, about Boston, the response.
Yeah, number 4.
One more.
It's not on your slide. I'll explain. So we got on the agenda, it is response to Boston inquiry. We got a letter on, you all got a letter, well, I guess the letter was addressed to me, and you all were copying on the letter on February 11th from Boston as a follow-up to our last month's meeting about tenant rights. And so, Carlos, we've included the letter and the response provided by, so you can move up, Kevin, sorry, just keep going. Okay, so this is a letter, and we included that in the packet, in your all's packet, from Carlton in terms of how the issue was addressed. But in short, and this was also shared at the Commissioners Court last week, the staff person who in question and relative to some of the items that were brought up regarding maybe misleading the residents or misinforming them, that person was reassigned to another property, not one of ours. Additionally, information about the right to organize has been provided to, Christina, correct me if I'm wrong, that's been made available to the residents, particularly Alexander.
Yes, and all the new staff, including myself, went through a training as well.
Thank you.
To appropriately address the information and work with BASTA if they want to use our facilities to gather together with our residents in the future. So we have now a clear direction in how to handle these type of situations, and my new staff is also trained on it as well.
Do we have anything posted at the units in the offices?
Not yet. So what we're intending on doing is, since we did get on board 2 additional new members, one for Eastern Oaks and one for Summit Oaks, we're doing these upcoming town hall meetings with each one of the properties so that we can introduce all of our new team members so that they can put a face to the name, right? When they're speaking to somebody over the phone, if they see somebody walking the property, right? So that they're not suspicious about them. But we're also going to be bringing this up so that the tenants are well aware. We'll be able to provide it in the notice that notifying the tenants of the upcoming town hall meetings. They'll have it, and then we'll reference it again during those town hall meetings with them.
Do we have a bulletin board at the properties?
We do have certain bulletin boards on some properties, not all of them, but that is something in the works so that we can post it out there.
I would encourage you to do that, and then even if it's nothing but making a copy of the regulations and posting it there.
Yes, sir.
The last thing I will mention relative to that is we are reconstituting the Resident Advisory Board. Our first meeting will be the 13th. It'll be 9 members, 9 program participants and or residents, 3 of which represent the properties, 6 of which represent the Housing Choice, 5 of the Housing Choice Voucher Program 1, the COC program, based on our population and demographics in terms of percentages. So we'll be meeting with them, and we'll be starting that process here soon. And this is going to be another forum for residents to be trained, empowered to be able to speak and advocate for themselves. So we're very excited about that. I had a conversation with Opportunity Home San Antonio, aka the San Antonio Housing Authority. Long-standing organization has done a lot in relative to resident empowerment. And so they will be sort of helping us as well, just as a resource to us as we continue to evolve the Resident Advisory Board that hasn't been in existence for a number of years prior to me being here. So we're excited about that. There'll be another opportunity to do such. Big Austin is involved in that process as well. So we think that, you know, in light of what has been shared and where we're moving toward, we will continue to help folks understand what rights should be afforded to them, and again, give them yet another platform to be able to share and advocate for themselves.
And Patrick, where is that meeting going to be held?
The first meeting will be a remote meeting. We'll send you the invite. Right now, we're debating whether we'll have in-person or remote. But they're scheduled for every other month or bi-monthly, I guess you'd say. But right now, they're set up to be Zoom meetings. One of the requirements or requests would be that they would attend 4 board meetings a year, in person, ideally. So we're kind of working through that, but we will make you all aware of that when we'll send you an invite.
Okay.
Thanks for your work in addressing that, and thanks for the update.
The residents are super excited.
I'm excited to hear from them.
I do have one other question. One of the things that was brought out when we were met at the Commissioners Court last week was us looking at our existing units to see if there are any renovations, corrections, anything like that that we need to do. So when we go and visit properties like Alexander Oaks and Summit and Eastern Oaks, are we looking at, because it doesn't necessarily take what we're doing at Carlson Creek to occur at all of these other places, but are we looking at the units individually? And I know that, Christina had mentioned that there were certain units in Manor, right, old Manor town that we are looking at and making, fixing cabinets or whatever. Are we doing that at the other properties as well?
Yes, ma'am. Well, I've actually already engaged with one company, gather all the quotes. Hopefully we get the inspections done on the 10th or the 11th of April. They'll be conducting different types of inspections. So they'll be conducting in-spire inspections. 100% all units will be inspected. That'll get us ready and for any upcoming inspections from either TDACA or HUD. They're also doing all curb appeal inspections. They're doing housekeeping inspections, pet inspections, and smoking inspections so that we can make sure that we are in compliance with all programs as well. This will alleviate management with some of those duties so that we can help them reach other goals that we have.
So we should see a report in next month?
No,
In
if
May?
anything, it'll be in May that we receive it, yeah.
Okay.
They're, and hopefully, and all the deficiencies noted, they're gonna actually take pictures of them, so we'll have a clear idea of what that is, so that we can remedy it. We're waiting to see if they're gonna be able to assist us, transfer all of the deficiencies to our program, that way we don't have to manually input it as well. They're doing some asset collection data as well, just to make sure that we're maintaining things like stoves, refrigerators, things like that, so that we can keep up with them and for the future project when we're expecting those expenses.
Okay.
And I will tell you, so barring Carson Creek and so I'll talk about the Oaks first. So we did a substantial gut rehab, as you know, with the low-income housing tax credit program to the studs. So, those units got significantly invested in. And then because of Eastern Oak not scoring well at the tax credit round, we end up using the Housing Trust, the multifamily direct loan program and money from the city of Austin to do the very same thing at Eastern, and that's why Eastern was sort of behind the other two in terms of renovation or rehabilitation, I'm going to say. The only two developments that did not get touched, I guess you would say, would be Carson Creek, and then obviously Manortown 1. And of course, we're addressing Carson Creek. Manortown 1 did get some cosmetic improvements done, $250,000 worth at some point, and you may have been around for that. I can't remember if it preceded you or not, but our unit, the work that he's talking about, other than obviously, I think we've somewhat been deficient on the housekeeping inspections, which has affected some of the cosmetic issues that you see, but most of the issues that you find at the developments are cosmetic, not substantial in terms of sustainability or the condition of the units themselves. They all have luxury vinyl flooring. They have, what you would expect in a unit is how they've been kept, and that's because we weren't consistent with the housekeeping inspection. So if you see, microwave torn up or the stove's not, inoperable, is because of what we've sort of allowed in situations which I would say Carlton has corrected as it relates to that. So what we may come back with in terms of information or what you might expect to see is things that have not been well kept as a result of some of the situations related to the occupancy and not so much the unit themselves. The work at Manortown, it does need to be modernized, for lack of a better term, in terms of what we've done. I don't think the construction method was the best, truth be told. So short of tearing it down, starting from the beginning, I think we will do our best to try to figure out how to reinforce what we have and make them look decent for the age of the building and the type of construction. That wasn't, in my opinion, the most ideal method for construction. But I think that's what you'll find. But the organization has invested a significant amount of money, unfortunately, through the state providing the funding and our equity investors, that the work has been done. And the previous boards have, done a good job with supporting, us seeking the funds and being able to do that.
If I may, also, Maynardtown was built, what, 2002?
Yeah, 2002.
Somewhere in there, and that was before all of us. And so the construction was not at standard back then at that time, and so.
Pretty bare bones, I mean.
Yeah, it was
just
bare
not-
bones. Yeah, and so it needs to be possibly, we'll have to consider that as we get the residents modernized, switched around and get it upgraded, I would think.
So
But,
I'm sorry, Patrick, what are some of the big items that do occur at Maynardtown 1?
Well, we had a
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
settling foundation issue.
Yeah, it's
I mean, Carlos can probably
Yeah.
quickly
Yeah.
speak to some of that. If
Yeah,
you'd like.
we had a settling foundation issue, and unfortunately, due to the most recent engineering report, we're going to continue seeing these types of events because the soil just doesn't set over at Maynardtown. It's just quite unfortunate. So we're just going to have to progressively, keep up with it as much as possible. The most major work was done with the stairs leading up to the second floor, which we had to tear down and then rebuild new ones with a better foundation on those stairwells, just to make sure that they're not falling over again.
Elevators still working?
Elevators working just fine.
Good. Yeah, net soil in Maynard is just horrible.
Yeah.
Throughout the
So it
whole-
wasn't compacted.
whole
Not a
community.
great
There's been some settling issues, and with these droughts over the last several years, it's caused, I've got neighbors that have had to spend $30,000 and $40,000 to get their slabs left
Yeah.
in their home, so it's a issue.
It is.
I have one other question for you, Carlos, and thank you. This has been a great report. As far as the assets, your appliances, are you tagging them, or is that going to be your next step? Is you're going to create a log, tag each appliance, and then you'll know the age of the appliance and...
So this agency that I've engaged with, they're building a list for us that will provide us all that information for these three assets, right? For the other assets, of course, we can do it in-house. They're small. We have 33 and 20s, 53 units that are maintenance technicians that are more than capable of taking care of. But we'll make sure and keep up with them.
I just want to note, it looks like you have all the submitted service requests in here for all the units, and it looks like everything across the board has been completed, so I want to commend you guys on acting quickly. One thing that I note when I go through this is there's not a lot of repeat problems, which at least is an intonation, implies to me that there's not one systemic issue. There's, all sorts of random things that can happen naturally in a unit, but I'm at least heartened to see that it's not as if one building is having, the repeated issue over and over again. So, great work on completing the service request.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
And Patrick, are you going to address B?
Yeah, so I think I might have sent a video from the meeting. Hopefully you skipped the interview part, but which was interesting if you want to go back and look at all of it, but they were high. But we did meet before the Commissioners Court. I think generally speaking it was fairly well received. And we were able to provide an update since our last meeting, which I think was as long as last February in terms of when we spoke to the Commissioners Court last. They do want to do it twice a year, so I think we're looking at maybe September for another update. So other than the references to Rosemont, which we might never be able to evade, which I don't say it's fair to this organization, but that aside, I thought that most of what was shared was fairly positive, and they did give us kudos for addressing deeply affordable units in our own space, which was Manor 2, actually with 18 of the 20 units being at 30% AMI. Yeah, I think that was a good summary.
I want to commend the team as well. I thought the presentation was very, very on point, very concise, and it showed a wide breadth of the things that have been addressed, and just collectively, overall, I thought it was well received.
I agree. I thought it was a great success, and I think, Patrick, you did a great job representing us, so thank you for doing the presentation. It's always a good sign of how thorough a presentation is if Judge Brown has to encourage you to move along. So I think you did a good job of going across the spectrum of all the things.
Thanks, sir.
Your leadership.
Any other questions, colleagues?
I have a question for Patrick.
Yeah.
Do we need to discuss about moving our board meeting for next month?
We do. So I actually personally have a conflict on the 3rd of April. And so I'm asking the board if it looks like, just with a brief poll of a couple board members, the 10th may not work, so then there's the 17th of April, which is the third Thursday of the month. But so that is what we're tentatively requesting, is a change in the meeting date from the 3rd to the 17th.
Okay.
I have no conflict at this time.
Second. No conflict.
No, I don't have any. We've got it.
It might change for me, but right now I can make that work.
Okay, great. Thank
Okay,
you.
so looks like we'll have a quorum. Okay. And so I'm gonna put it on my calendar for the 17th then.
And the conflict is a training, but it's a professional development training that I've been applying to, and now I've got accepted. And there's a required meeting on the 3rd. So, thank you all.
Thanks for bringing up that housekeeping measure.
Thank you.
9:30. Okay. Add it.
Okay. Is there any reason to go into executive session? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone.